Huh. You could say I called it. Now, whether this is going to be a Remedy Entertainment-developed Rockstar-produced venture is yet to be seen, though it seems like it is, because there's still a hint of worry with these remasters. Current-era Rockstar might not be the big three when it comes to shit game companies. Activision, Ubisoft, and EA still the reigning kings of the toilet bowl, but they sure are close to tying with third. Monetizing GTA Online and proving to care less than Game Freak when it comes to craft for the GTA collection is not a good look. Cautiously optimistic at best is where I'm hanging around when I'm not fearing that they'll remove the original 2 Max Payne games in a bid to force people to buy the remasters. Time will tell if this was unfounded or not, but if I were you and mildly curious about the Max Payne series, pick the originals up now in case Rockstar's boneheadedness comes through. Beginning exactly right where we left off, Max Payne was a critical and financial success, putting Remedy Entertainment on the map with Take-Two Interactive pulling the trigger on acquiring the company. In fact, this is how the development for Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne kicked off, with that announcement. On the official Take-Two website, an article reads the following. Take-Two Interactive Software Incorporated announced today that Rockstar Games, in conjunction with Remedy Entertainment, has begun development of Max Payne 2, a sequel to the blockbuster hit Max Payne. Max Payne 2 is expected to ship in calendar 2003. Take-Two has also announced that it has acquired ownership of the Max Payne brand and all intellectual property rights associated with the brand, including trademarks, copyrights, characters, perpetual license to utilize proprietary technologies, including the Max Payne game engine and associated bullet time technology, and rights to license fees from ancillary Max Payne brand extensions, such as cinema, television, and literary productions. A pretty standard press junket, though further diving into the statement does offer a bit of foresight into Take-Two's strategy regarding publishing. Kelly Sumner, the chief executive officer of Take-Two, mentions that a critical component of Take-Two's corporate strategy is to control the intellectual property rights to our key brands and as a result, build the most value for our company, while Scott Miller, same title but for 3D Realms, goes on to say, Take-Two benefits tremendously by having full control of the Max Payne brand going forward and being able to properly leverage it to its full potential. I mean, the boys at Remedy Entertainment and 3D Realms would have been stupid to not take the deal, but I get the feeling there were daggers and some smiles what with all this corpo talk being bandied about. In fact, both Sammy Vathatlo, co-founder of Remedy, and Marcus Maki, director of Max Payne 2, had a few choice words about the publisher expressed within Edge Online's Making of Max Payne article. Vathatlo states that they're a very eccentric company that works in strange ways, but surprisingly compatible. I don't recall a single instance where someone was trying to steer us into doing this when we really wanted to do that. We were on the same page the whole time, while Maki added that I do remember some stranglehold-esque proposals from one of the Rockstar producers for Mexican standoffs, stuff like that, but the time really wasn't right. But we both wanted to go higher on the production values and be more ambitious with the story. They're straightforward and honest guys. They expect a lot but deliver a lot when you need them. After 5 years of working with them, I don't think anyone has anything bad to say. I don't know, man. All I can say is that I still don't trust Take-Two. They're a weedy little snake, much like someone here playing both sides of the coin. So no breakdown for him then. Only when I acknowledge. Anyway, riding the ship was still Sam Lake, who had found himself in a conundrum. Following the end of Max Payne proved to be difficult for the writer, especially since the first game's story was practically open and shut. Telling Edge, Lake concedes the fact that he did worry and did struggle. The main reason was Max's narration, his eternal monologue. That was a very important tool to tell the story, maybe the most important one. Through it, we get to know what Max thinks and feels. He's not an empty vessel. I did want to switch to Mona. She later became a playable character. In fact, had there been more time, it would have been nice to add levels where you play as Vinny, Vlad, and Bravura, but it was problematic. In the end, Max frames those sequences with his narration, saying that he doesn't know exactly what happened or what Mona did, but it must have been something like this. In other words, when you are playing Mona, you are actually experiencing Max's guess of the events. Changing gears from a traditional revenge story, Lake decided to play up the noir elements, focusing more on the relationship between Max and the returning Mona Sachs, who somehow survived the supposedly fatal headshot that put her out in the first game. Telling IGN about this switch-up, Sam Lake describes it as an idea simply too delicious to pass over. Keep in mind, though, that we are talking about a film noir love story here. You know the type. Everyone knows that everyone else is lying about something, and things couldn't possibly turn out well. They are drawn to each other for all the wrong reasons. He knows she's nothing but bad news and probably just using him to get where she's going, but he goes for it anyway. Love hurts. For a bit more of the nitty-gritty game-wise, Max Payne 2 runs on the same engine as the first game. However, Remedy, being the chads that they are, performed a bit of magic, taken from the Inquirer, not that one. Even though the game is DirectX 8.1 only, it looks just as we imagine a full DirectX 9 game might, with reflection, refraction, some shaders, and ghosting effects. Implemented as well was the Havoc physics engine, allowing for more realism such as objects being affected by gravity and whatnot. Bullet Time itself got a rework as well, but I'll go more into that when we head to gameplay. Seen released in 2003, Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne saw light of day first on Windows before being ported to the Xbox and PlayStation 2 respectively. The version I played was the Steam release, and like with the first game, getting Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne running is filled with enough trials and tribulations for an Ace Attorney case. Also, like with the first game, there are a number of dedicated guides on Steam that will fix any boot up errors you might run into. The reason for my vagueness is because I can't remember which exact one I used. Members of the Inner Circle can regale you with a tragedy of confusion and a late night marathon. All I can pass along is that at one point I got so frustrated when trying to patch Fall that I tried to go to bed, couldn't, turned my computer back on and launched the game to find it working suddenly, then I beat it in one sitting. For a calming of the nerves, once Fall works, it always runs. As is tradition with Max Payne, we open in media res at the end of the story. Max recounts in his usual cold manner, wondering if he made the right decisions leading up to this moment. With what sounds like a dying Mona Sachs in the background, probably not.
Try to run from it. The more you run, the deeper, more terrible it grows behind you. Its edges yawning at your heels. Your only chance is to turn around and face it.
We are at the scene. Repeat, we are at the scene.
But it's like looking down into the grave of your love.
Check the area. Hold your fire.
Or kissing the mouth of a gun, a bullet trembling in its dark nest, ready to blow your head off.
Jumping back to earlier in the night, we find Max waking up in a hospital, ambling around akin to a corpse, detailing that she is dead, possibly referring to someone else other than Mona. A hallucination-filled jaunt through the empty halls of the building, hints of things yet to come for us, but they don't paint a pretty picture, and neither do the occasionally Kevin Conroy-voiced hit squad goons either. Whatever went down, it's got Police Lieutenant Jim Brevara, pseudo-antagonist from the first game, angry at Max when he's not being filled with bullet holes.
Hey! You're not going anywhere. What happened out there? You did it. Eternal affairs was breathing down my neck. Did you do it? You killed her.
No, I can't.
Go! Bullshit.
Then we find out what went down. Max has killed his partner, Detective Winterson. Flashing forward to the end, Max's VO informs us that beginning at the end is not a proper jumping in point as we have no context.
A false start. The hospital bed wasn't the beginning. It was past the point of no return. A fatal choice already made. And it would get worse before the end. The past is a puzzle, like a broken mirror. As you piece it together and you cut yourself, your image keeps shifting, and you change with it. It could destroy you, drive you mad. It could set you free.
You, inside. Drop your weapons and come out with your hands above your head.
You'll see the choices you didn't know you'd made, like staying at work late to chat with a friend, instead of hurrying home to your family.
Fan out, people! Circle around! Cover all the exits!
Kissing her, I think of the cold laws of cause and effect.
Where are those extra units? Call the Central. We need every available unit here now!
I am afraid, but I start again from the beginning. Trace my own steps to the scene of the crime.
A day earlier, Max, on routine patrol as a detective, since Woden kept to his word of releasing Max and he couldn't stomach working for the DEA any longer, answers a call of reported shots fired inside a warehouse owned by Vladimir Lim. Someone who employs a cleaning crew wants to topple the Russians' control of the underworld, and to make matters even more taxing, Mona Sachs has resurfaced, throwing whatever little life Max had left into a tizzy.
Whack him!
Come on, come on! Finally.
Hey!
Mona?
Max, we gotta stop meeting like this.
Mona!
If you think nothing can get to you, you're lying to yourself. At best, you're temporarily dead. A lightning bolt can reanimate you without a warning.
With a case building as the cleaning crew, Lim, and apparently the Mafia are all connected to what went down in the warehouse, Bravaro orders Max to look into them as he tells Detective Winterson to bring the perpetrator of Senator Sebastian Gates' murder to justice. The only problem is that the lead suspect is Mona Sachs. As his only lead is Vlad, Max heads over to the former Ragnarok turned Vodka just in time to rescue him from now Mafia underboss Vinny Gognitti, still as Weasley as ever.
You're not even trying!
Hang on, Vlad.
Max!
I'm coming.
Oh, no, Payne! Not him! Fuck, fuck, fuck! What are you waiting for? Circle around and kill him! Kill the cop!
Having chased him off, Max informs Vlad that his gunsmith is dead before receiving information we'll hear later. Hitting the hay for the night, Max's sleep is interrupted by nightmarish visions of the future and a visit from Mona.
Max, sorry I woke you. Max, it's a secret. You must tell no one. You better answer that.
Nothing to worry about, baby. I'm going to be alright. When haven't I been alright? Max is here now. You know Max. I'll call you when it's over.
We need to hit the place now. Payne's in there.
They know that you know. You must run.
Max Payne! Drop your weapons and come out with your hands above your head! This is your final warning! Run, Payne, run! We are gonna shoot!
Bring it down. Shoot to kill.
You don't need a lawyer. Just tell us what you did.
Payne, you're done. Everything you say will be used against you.
What are you hiding? She's alive, isn't she?
People get near you, they die. You killed your family. You killed them all.
Confess.
Do I get my phone call?
You already got it.
Seems whoever was behind the murder of Gate has placed hits on Mona and Max, and while this doesn't absolve Mona, it is confirmed when a sniper tries to take the two out. Forced to fight out of his apartment complex, which is lousy with cleaners, Max discovers that he's been followed for a number of days by this mysterious party, which is worrying.
I had found the sniper's hideout. The room was full of surveillance equipment. They had been spying on me for days, weeks, months even. My every action observed, recorded, analyzed. The place was the proof every paranoiac dreams of.
Winterson. It's me, Max. I'm at home. Sniper outside the window. Sounds like more gunmen behind the door, closing in. I need help.
Max? Oh, okay, hang on. We'll get you out. Who's after you?
Can't talk. Don't know. Gotta go. Leave a message.
Hey, where are you? You're late again. Look, this insomnia crap isn't fooling anyone. I know what it's like. I just want to help. You should come to an AA meeting with me.
Thank you for calling Dangerous Liaisons. For Candy, press 1. For Sandy, press 2. For Mona, press 3. You press 3 for Mona. Hi, this is Mona. What's your name?
I just need someone to talk to.
Honey, this is a phone sex line. All we do is talk.
Right. How do you fix something like that? How do you make amends? I thought it would help, but it only made it worse.
Just give me your credit card number and I can listen to you all night.
Killing them all only made it worse. It didn't bring them back.
Hey, what are you, some kind of weirdo?
Sorry.
Back at the station, Max tells Brevard what Vlad told him. Vinny is in cahoots with the cleaners. In saying this, Max does point out that something doesn't fit, but doesn't directly notify the lieutenant, preferring to get the facts straight by getting the rest of Mona's account, an action that puts him directly at odds with the law. Filing through the linear sequence of scares that is the funhouse where Mona has set up shop, Max is once again brought into the world of the inner circle. No relation, when the assassin drives him over to her contact.
She wasn't telling me the whole truth. Let's go.
The circle goes back to the centuries-old Masonic cults. Corruption and assassinations reaching all the way to the presidential level.
Right. And here I was thinking conspiracy theories had gone out of style.
We're here.
So are they. I'm the only one handling a piece here. Which floor?
Unfortunately, the cleaners are there as well, their goal unveiled to be knocking off the other members of the group. Making matters worse, before Max and Mona can stealthily get away from the high-rise, the police catch both, landing Mona in jail and Max in hot water. But that doesn't stop the cleaners as, upping their game, they decide to assault the precinct to disastrous results. As if on cue, since Mona's whereabouts are unknown since she escaped during the fracas, Vlad rolls up to escort Max to Coney Island.
Mona had vanished into the night. Without her, I had nothing to go on. I knew where to find her. Have no fear. Vlad is here. The world was getting too small for comfort. Too many coincidences.
Bang! You're dead, Max Payne.
A giant-headed Captain Baseball bat boy costume lay in the back seat. Gearing up for Halloween?
Max, dearest of all my friends. Call it my Trojan horse in the war Vinnie Gognitti started. Speaking of which, any news?
Do me a favor. Drop me off at Coney Island.
During the car ride, Max does question Vlad over the inner circle and Mona, earning the ire of the detective, before Vlad presents a hypothetical that, to the casual listener, seems like philosophical trite, but will have a double meaning later. Reconvening with Mona, Max almost takes her on a ride on Space Mountain Ric Flair style while mentally listing out his wants, but his rashness has led the cleaners straight to the duo. In spite of getting cucked, Max does manage to hitch a ride to the den of the cleaners, an abandoned construction complex where he finds out how widespread their services have gone.
Like always, the dead had all the answers I was missing. It wasn't that they weren't eager to talk, quite the contrary. The dead had plenty to say. And once they started, they would never shut up. Their words would keep you awake at night. The bodies, all the evidence of all the murders the cleaners had done. All the answers. It would take days to dig through it. Mona, I know this sounds crazy, but I need you to go and call the cops. I need them here.
You're right. You are crazy. I'm a fugitive, Max. I just escaped from custody.
I wouldn't ask if it wasn't
Go to
necessary.
hell, Max.
Mona? Damn.
At the same time, Mona fights her way through the yard in order to support Max, concluding with the two running aground of Detective Winterson, forced into a binary choice as he doesn't know if Winterson is helping the cleaners despite Mona's insistence that she is. Max guns down the detective, but not before she gets a parting shot.
You're only making it worse. You've been suspended.
She's one of them. She's here to kill me.
I'm doing my duty. She is a fugitive murder suspect. I'm taking her in. She resists, she gets shot.
As surely as the bullet rips through the victim's flesh, organ, and bone, it shatters the image of the man who presses the trigger. Easy.
Back off, Payne.
This is what I see when I look back. These moments. Blinding as snow. They kill you, change you. You die and live again. Remade. No, Mona. Winterson!
Gunfire! This way, fast!
Go! Go, run! Mona!
Over here! Hold it! Detective Winterson! Officer down! He went over the edge!
The genius of the hole. No matter how long you spend climbing out, you can still fall back down in an instant.
Deep in the hole now, Max's fractured psyche toys with his sanity as it presents a mishmash of imagery and ideas.
Wounds, pupils blown, head trauma, God only knows what else. He's in shock. Start 2 large bore IVs, get him to ICU stat. He's not responding. This guy is a train wreck. We're losing him.
I had chosen Mona. It felt like I had lost her.
You're a real angel, Max.
Think, damn it. Think. Wait. Just wait. I can figure this out. I can explain this. I can fix it. I can make it better. Think. I killed them. My wife. My baby. I shot them. I buried them under the rose bush in the backyard. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna catch him. The one who did this, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna make him pay. Punish him. Make him wish he was never born. Hurt him. I'm gonna kill him. Funny. For a moment there, I forgot who I was. Then it switched. I used to look like this. I thought I was the killer. I thought I was a mobster. I thought I was a cop. I thought I was a patient. I thought, who am I? I thought I was in love.
Still though, like a rusted machine rumbling forward, broken and uneven, Max awakens in the hospital where the cleaners turned commandos tried to snuff him out. Second verse same as the first, but this time Max confronts Woden what he should do. Turns out the inner circle is in the midst of a civil war due to Woden's cancer, the face behind the assassinations being Vladimir Lim. Now you know what I meant last time in the previous Max Payne video as, yeah, Vlad is a member of the Inner Circle, trained by Woden, and is consolidating power.
Question.
Fine. Why is the Inner Circle trying to kill me?
I am dying. Cancer. Power has leaked through my fingers. There was a rebellion. A renegade faction has pushed the society into a civil war. Everyone who resists is assassinated. We have been reduced to fighting mob wars.
Vinny Gognitti?
Vladimir Lem.
I knew the answer before he told me. Vlad had lied. Cleaning company commandos were his men.
Vladimir Lem has belonged to the Society for many years. Gogniti is going to die in the hands of the Inner Circle renegade. Then he is coming for me, his one-time mentor.
Tired of playing on the backbeat, Max storms vodka, noting that the hypothetical was essentially Vlad asking if it was okay for him to kill Max, and while not finding Lem or Mona, he does get undeniable proof that Winterson was working with Vlad. Opting to chase after Vinny as it would put a monkey wrench in the Russians' plans, it's short-lived as though the detective does manage to escort the now uniformed underboss out of immediate danger. They bump into Vlad when they go to the funhouse.
Well, that was fun. In a fucking terrible, sick, not at all fun way.
Vinny needed Mona as much as I did. We'll try to find Mona Sachs. She can disarm the bomb.
Are you crazy? She's just as bad as the Russian. She's part of the same fucking crew.
You're delusional. I was desperate enough to look for Mona at the funhouse.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Max, dearest of all my friends, drop your gun, or the bomb goes.
I had a bomb ticking in my head. No amount of painkillers would disable it.
Lem sets off the bomb inside Vinny's costume before putting one in Max's 10 spot, the detective journeying once again inside his warped mind until being rescued by Mona. Knowing Vlad's plan, the two race forth towards Woden's manor, engaging in a lengthy gunfight and some slight betrayal as Mona was hired by Vlad, but she can't bring herself to kill Max.
Dead end. Damn it.
Here, let me. This way.
Mona knew the manor. She was working for Woden. Vlad had told me the truth. Mona, wait. Stop. This is love. When someone drags you from the wreckage when you have given in, ready to just lie there and die.
I told you not to come here. It's my job to clear up this mess, and you're a part of it. Throw away your guns.
This is love. When someone, no matter what the cost, shows you there is hope, a choice, that you can put down your gun.
See? I can't do it. You're a bastard, Max.
This is love. Love hurts.
I was so looking forward to you two killing each other. You can't have everything.
I had been here before. Ground Zero.
You are making me look incompetent by refusing to die.
Stop. I am sorry. Enough.
A bomb went off in my head. The bullet lodged in my brain moved a fatal, microscopic distance.
Insubordination is met with death in Vlad's eyes, who also kills Woden, but he can't score a hat trick and is gunned down by Max. Our tale ends with Pain, Cold, and Alone, reborn after waking up from the American dream, that is, unless you play on the hardest difficulty where Mona survives. The plot of the Fall of Max Payne can best be described as the logical conclusion, for as complete as Max seemed at the end of the first game, it was nary a crumbling mask, a shiny veneer that hid away feelings of guilt, suffering, pain, and madness. The world goes on as is while Max is left in his past. Nothing but shadows and specters constrict him with each step he takes. In short, and on a dour note, revenge has left Max in a hole. A deep black hole that try as he might, he can't escape from. Either he can choose to ignore the sickness plaguing the inner recesses of his mind, wish for death to end the misery, or fight against it in an attempt to cure the problem. Since this is Max Payne we're talking about, a rogue cop who waged a one-man war against the mob and a shadow government, of course he chooses the latter, plunging further into the darkness. The man put it himself, pulling the trigger of a gun is a binary choice. See, the fall of Max Payne wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Max Payne. I don't mean that in a development sense, but in a cause and effect way. At the center of this menagerie between the warring factions of the Inner Circle and Vinny is Max. He set the stage for his own tragedy, latching onto Mona Sachs as a remnant of any sensible recourse, aiding Vlad in his attempts to take over the criminal underworld, and having a connection to Woden were ultimately the linchpins to Max's present dire straits. If he had decided to skip town and forget about what happened to his wife and child, Max wouldn't be the inheritor of his terrible lot in life. He would be entirely removed from what at best could be described as a shit show. But that isn't Max. He's blunter than a hammer and willfully throws himself into these situations. Out of love? Out of guilt? Out of justice? Who knows? What was once an unstoppable force of vengeance is a confused, barely held together phantom running on fumes, which is where I think the beauty of this story comes together. It shows the ugly, the desperate, and the damned. For all his posturing and loquaciousness, the state of Max is painful to look at, calling sex hotlines to dump off his problems, ignoring advice from friends and colleagues that would better himself, and generally digging the hole deeper paints Max in an unflattering light. While you can get behind Max throughout the runtime of the first game, damn near justifying his rampage as a means of righting a wrong, here it's murky. Borrowing words from Payne again, what was once black and white has gone gray and blurry. For a decent portion of the front half, we don't know Mona's standing, so Max choosing to aid her is him effectively siding with a criminal. That, and he's developed a lust for her, blinding Max from what once was and placing him precariously into more danger. Now, this isn't to say that Max is unaware of the deluge trying to drown him. He fully recognizes his woes are coming from his poor decision-making. The tree has been pruned, so to speak, as what-ifs and maybes aren't within the dirt that Max has sowed himself in. His past has fertilized the future with malice and insanity. All he can do is push forward to a conclusion, to fight out of the underground, hoping that he can remain intact as everything else crumbles around him. That's why I kind of prefer the regular ending as opposed to the one where Mona survives. Max's journey is circular in nature, as he starts and ends the fall with nothing but memories and ghosts. In the lettering of the word, Max is free just like how he was at the end of 1. He accomplished his task. Max undoubtedly buried the remains of the Inner Circle and put this chapter of his life behind him. But in spirit, he's still in the hole. The death of Mona, the conflict against Vlad and Vinny, his relationship with the police and Bravura are all cracks in the mirror that is Max's life, causing it to shatter. And in the attempt to piece the jigsaw back together in the vain endeavor to hold on to any form of normality, Max has metaphorically shredded himself to the bone, leaving him unrecognizable to the masses. Who is Max Payne? An upstanding cop turned renegade DEA agent clamoring for revenge following the calculated deaths of his wife and daughter? The embodiment of retribution, able to snuff out crime when red tape binds legality? A past his prime detective drowning in a bottle of pills and a death wish? A criminal who has gladly helped the likes of others merely because they provided a form of convenience to his goals? A wanton glutton for punishment, seeking out sin as an escape? If Max was a bit closer to heaven after slaying the monsters of Ragnarok, he's fallen into the depths of hell where his own actions dole out his castigation, a waking nightmare born from the dying dream of America, perverting the fond memories of the past and twisting them as a nail in the coffin. In his warped mind, Max views himself as the reason for why his wife and daughter are dead, with his continued pursuit of Mona acting as proof that he pulled the trigger. Justification born from grief and admonishment for his misdeeds, wittingly or otherwise, Max simultaneously playing the role of hero and villain on his mental stage. That's why I'm not going over the other characters in as great detail. They're props. Not in a degrading manner, they all play their roles perfectly. The lead man is delivering a soliloquy detailing his own downfall, pointing to examples providing evidence for his self-destruction. In grander schemes, that's why there is isn't a big conspiracy this time around. If Max Payne was a retelling of Ragnarok, I view The Fall as a rendition of Dante's Inferno, but instead of gawking at the various sinners and their crimes the lower the poet went, Max tumbles further and further into the void, bearing witness to himself without a guide and without hope. Even at the end, when he breaches through the veil and escapes the cover of Twilight, Max is still lost and utterly alone. It is with a heavy heart that I must say that Max Payne face is gone. Let us grieve in silence for but a brief moment to remember its greatness. With a more experienced Remedy, we get greater detail on pretty much everything, though you can still tell this game has aged. The problem is that 2 occupies the in-between space of 1 and 3, where the original game had oodles of charm, while 3 is a Rockstar-developed entry. That effectively means that while 2 is a better-looking game than 1, there isn't that finely aged cheddar like there was with the predecessor. A Sam Lake texture does go the distance in my book.
What are you so afraid of? What do you want from me?
There was a blind spot in my head. A bullet-shaped hole where the answer should be. Call it denial.
The Payne residence.
Dr. Magdalena from ER. You can give away the bed you were holding for me. That detective we were waiting for was DOA. She's headed for the morgue.
I'll deal with Payne. He's as good as dead.
Freeze, NYPD!
Found him.
In all seriousness, the game doesn't look that bad. Standard fare for 2003 at worst, and amazing usage of an old engine at best, though some models do look a bit off. Cars aren't so much vehicles as they are weird boxes, and it gets worse when they do move. The graphic novel style cutscenes take up a majority of the dialogue sequences, though The Fall does branch off with in-game cutscenes using traditional blocking and framing, as well as unbroken perspective returning from 1. What does save the graphics is the higher quality animations.
You're Max Payne.
Afraid so.
Max! I'm Mike, Vladimir's friend. You are the sheriff. How about making me your deputy?
Let's go bail out your boss before he talks us all to death.
Let's ride.
Find him, take care of him.
Still mocapped, still phenomenal, with weightiness and style. Heightened realism is the term I will coin for this, as though characters walk, talk, and act as if this were the real world. Seepings of John Woo do bleed in the presentation. Enemy damage reactions are still abundantly over the top. Slow-mo shines a spotlight on kills and reload animations, and the ragdolls are glorious. It is fully possible to send an enemy flying through the power of slow-mo and bullets alone, a hilarious spectacle to see, and one that I do not tire of. It helps that the sound design is cut to the nines, guns sounding punchy and visceral. There is one minor quibble in that death cries aren't as prominent as they were in the original game, an important call out to the player in the thick of things, so now you have to pay closer attention to more physical attributes such as enemies dropping their guns. Minute detail is a staple of this franchise, as not only are there a lot of interactables Max can dick around with, you can buy soda, flick TVs on and off, and generally mess with anything that isn't nailed down or locked, but bullet casings and magazines will litter the floor of any area you run through.
Funhouse was Mona's playground.
There! She's up there! Look out!
She had disappeared back into the shadows. An intervention from above. Over too soon.
Scale is a major difference between this game and the last, as levels feel much bigger and lived in. The shithole apartment complex that Max lives in is a perfect showcasing for Remedy's improved mastery over level construction. It wouldn't be a Max Payne game without a killer soundtrack and top-class voice work, both belted out in spades. The iconic theme of Max still enjoys the limelight, though it's grown more melancholy to fit the spiral Max is falling into. Mona's theme is a snazzy little bop that captures her mysterious but dangerous personality. A core theme within the OST is uncertainty, many of the tracks hammering hard with a threatening structure of beats or a low rumble to make you always guess what's going to happen next within the plot. If it isn't obvious, though, James McCaffrey still performs a stormer as Max Payne. Mixed in with the verbose wordplay heavy in metaphor, McCaffrey was able to expose a different side of Max with this script.
I had no choice. I couldn't have waited for Mona. It was Vlad's excuse. Fate. I didn't trust myself.
Max.
I'd forgotten about the radio Mona had given me.
Max.
I'm here. Took a ride with the cleaners. I'll let you know when we get where we're going.
Max, about what happened.
Can't talk now. I couldn't crack her. I had to crack the case.
The frigidly cocky man with nothing to lose has shifted into a shadow who wants to preserve that front but is crumbling beneath the mask. He's unsure of right and wrong and becomes swept up because of it. McCaffrey's ability to blend these two character tics is a feast for the ears, him dominating over the other cast members. That doesn't mean that they are forgettable or bad, though Wendy Hoops' Mona Sachs can come across as stilted. It's just that the lead man is on a whole entire level.
The past is a gaping hole. Your only chance is to turn around and face it. But it's like kissing the lips of your dead love. Darkness waiting in the hole of your mouth. We are willing to suffer, to die for the things we care about, for love, for the right choices. Because of her, I had solved the case, my case, all of it, who I am. It's gonna be all right.
God. turned out to be such a damsel in distress.
She was dead. The bullet in her head had come to the end of its slow-motion journey.
Stay sharp. We're going in. Go, go, go!
It is almost morning, waking up from the American dream.
Jesus! My God! What the hell went on in here?
They are all dead. Now, like all my loves, she is mine forever. She has brought me here to this moment of clarity, where time slows down and I choose to look back to see myself. And in that act of seeing, I am reborn.
Down here! This way! There! Easy.
Oh my God! Got a live one here!
Detective Payne? He's still alive! We need a medic in here now! He's still alive!
I had a dream of my wife. She was dead, but it was all right.
Max Payne 2: The Fall of Max Payne is a third-person shooter in line with the first Max Payne game. As such, many of the ideas introduced in the original outing are kept here, but with minor tweaks, our first being the difficulty. Mentioned in the story, there is technically a good ending that requires you to beat the game on the hardest setting. To do that, though, you have to beat the game 3 times, once on Detective, once on Hard Boiled, then on Dead on Arrival. The subsequent modes of New York Minute, returning from the first game, and Dead Man Walking, this game's version of survival, are unlocked after finishing Detective for the first time. My run didn't see me touch any of the other game modes, and though Detective is the normal difficulty, this is still Max Payne. For a brief encapsulation on what enemy encounters are like in this series, firefights are fast and frantic. Max and Mona, as she is fully playable in the Fall for some sections, aren't bullet sponges, going down in a few well-placed shots, and enemy accuracy and reaction time is on the higher end. To offset this, enemies are as fragile as Max and Mona, and while they have numbers, Max and Mona have the shoot, dodge, and adrenaline system. This is the new wrinkle added to Max Payne 2, as unlike in the previous entry, shoot dodging no longer uses up any adrenaline. That does mean it isn't as useful, but that's because slowing down time has seen a considerable buff. In Max Payne, time slow was only useful for landing faraway shots with minimal risk to yourself. Here, it has been fully fledged out and is the core mechanic. Killing an enemy does 2 things now: reward Max with adrenaline so he can stay moving within the slowed down time, and quickening his pace within it. You can tell what level of adrenaline you have by looking at the meter next to your health. At base adrenaline, Max's speed during slowdown is marginally faster. He'll still get caught by bullets even if he serpentines and dodges. At max adrenaline, he can easily outshoot enemies even before they see him, and shoot dodging becomes optional. Max's increased movement speed able to zip around any fire that comes his way. While using time slow, Max can still shoot dodge where it serves a better purpose than just throwing it out like in the first game. It may seem like Max is invincible when using time slow, but that is the furthest thing from the case. He's still subject to having to ration his adrenaline out, as staying in the mode drains it quite quickly. Its natural regen is also slower this time around, unlike the first game. Adrenaline also dips in quality if Max doesn't kill enough enemies within a time limit. You can go from golden adrenaline back to base in a short couple of seconds, so be fast or be dead. Facilitating this mindset is that while in slowdown, Max reloads almost instantaneously, twirling to avoid gunfire, and at golden adrenaline, slowing down time to provide the player's survey of the land. Unchanged from the first game is Max's ongoing addiction to painkillers. Able to hold 8 on his person, they provide quick relief with long-term story detriments that we'll see in 3. Usually found in bathrooms, cabinets, and sometimes on enemies, painkillers still work as rolling health, as in when you get hit after using one, it stops healing you at whatever draining point it was. It's best to patch up when you know no one's around. Guns are still the typical modern affair, though ammo caps and new versions have been changed or added. You can now dual-wield deagles, providing solid middle ground between the stronger automatic and shell-fed weaponry and the 9mm. Throwables now have their own key binded to them, so you don't have to fiddle around with your inventory to use them. Granted, outside of the Molotovs, throwables are still pretty garbage due to enemy reaction time. Scoped weapons have seen a new inclusion with the MP5 and Dragunov, both able to zoom in while under the effects of slowdown. Like before, you gather most of your gear off of dead enemies, though searching around in a level will earn you a few extra bullets or weapons. These levels are still fully interactable, and while the level structure remains kinda the same, point A to B affairs with light puzzle solving and mass murder, there are a few gimmicks and false sleeves. 2 levels require you to escort a vital NPC, though the apartments have optional NPCs that you can save, and a select few chapters are extended exploration sections or chase sequences. Dying in Max Payne 2 is still the same as it was in 1, with quick saves being your friend as there are no checkpoints. Like before, I tried to limit my number of quick saves to after long level sections, gunfights, or story beats, but I did use precaution during the platforming challenges. Enemies have seen an overall change from Max Payne, mostly in the health department, as later foes rock body armor able to soak up some damage before failing. Enemies are still an assorted bunch of made men in Black Ops, with bosses only having slightly higher health values and a possible stratagem you have to take advantage of. Much of what I can say good about this game is extended from the first one. Despite the weapons taking on a modern flavor, all feel useful in Max's arms. The dual pistols are still the fallback option, able to stun lock and cover a wider area with fire, but the deagles finally got the push that they needed. Not only can the deagle be used akimbo style, its ammo pool is bigger, allowing you to make use of its better accuracy and damage more. While the Berettas are death by 1,000 cuts, the deagles can shut down even the strongest of foes with only a few shots. All the shotguns still prove their worth up close, but what really pushes them into their own is the adrenaline system. What killed the shotguns outside of the jackhammer in the first game has effectively become a moot issue, reloading happening so fast that you can pop off a stream of pellets able to clear out any room. Getting too close is still not totally ideal, as slowdown won't save you if you're touching an enemy, but now you can take full advantage of the shotgun's lethal stopping power with minimal risk. The Ingrams have seen better days, their ability to spray and pray diminished with a lower magazine size and what seems like piss-poor accuracy even in slow-mo, but their replacement, the MP5, is a wonderful inclusion in the armory. Trading out a wild bullet spread, the MP5 is laser-focused, able to take out targets football fields away while not suffering from drop-off. The scope isn't for show either, and though zooming in is a good recipe for off-screen death, it meshes well with slowdown and can easily outperform the Colt and AK. What is there to say about either or, by the way? Both rifles are the best weapons in the game, the AK only lagging slightly behind the Colt in accuracy, but when most enemies die in a few shots, little things like bullet spread don't matter. The only duds this time around outside of the Ingrams are the sniper rifles, and mostly because of their scarcity. Max only acquires one during the apartments level, and Mona only carries her Dragunov during the construction yard, so you get little time to handle each. Still deadly accurate and powerful, melding well with slowdown. I just wish we got more time with them or have set pieces that took advantage of their properties. If you haven't guessed by now, the reworked time mechanics are the star of the show. While Max Payne 1 was calculated chaos, gunfights a haze of strategy and instinct akin to a John Woo Tea House Rumble, The Fall adopts the lobby scene from The Matrix as its inspiration. Mooks aren't so much enemies as they are walking, talking targets that you can plow through with ease. Keeping momentum and adrenaline to outgun groupings of foes is quite fun, especially since Max Payne is already on the faster side. It becomes a personalized challenge to see how long you can keep golden adrenaline going. The addition of shoot dodging no longer requiring meter to use gels well with the buff to time slow, as now you're no longer having to decide what would be better to use in a given situation. And though I did say shoot dodging can be superfluous, its defensive uses have been expanded into letting Max continue firing while still on the floor. It provides new angles of attack attack while still safeguarding your health. The best way to describe Max Payne 2's combat is a flowing bullet ballet where you are in control as opposed to Max Payne 1's reactive pandemonium. That's why I find it hard to judge the two together, as at their core, they are different in what they want to showcase. Still kicking it out of the park though is James McCaffrey. I said in the previous Max Payne video that his performance is one of the best in the entirety of video games, and it still stands here. What elevates McCaffrey though in this title is that he was given more to do. While Max's steely inner monologue in 1 was fantastic, allowing James to cut away from it with a wider range expands Max's character even more. My only complaint that I can say is that there aren't as many one-liners or memorable quotes from Max within 2. Best you get are some of what I've used above and the ever so memeable linear sequence of scares, but none hold a candle to the zingers he had in 1, at least to me. For a breather away from the man, the world he inhabits has more life to it. Friendly NPCs regularly decorate the levels, with the police station and the apartment complex both shining examples. It says a lot that one of my favorite chapters in the game is the police station, which is mostly engaging in busy work and hearing little Easter eggs or side stories, such as a V addict attempting to talk his way out of a double homicide. The various TVs themselves offer referential comedy at the expense of Max, further driving home that he can't escape what he's done. Overall, the Fall is willing to throw the player into odd situations for experimentation, which is a valiant effort. Outrunning the armed guard in the hospital only to find yourself trapped in a room with no gun is tense, playing to the strengths of how defenseless Max really is without a portable armory. The Fall of Max Payne is filled to the brim of little moments that flesh out the world, such as joining the Gogniti posse only to be found out, shooting at Vinny's collection to hear him complain, among other Easter eggs. Like with 1, 2 is chock full of personality, as I've only scratched the surface of what you can do to interact with the world at large. There isn't a whole lot wrong with the Fall of Max Payne outside of minor complaints. My biggest issue with the game happens to be its larger level sets, mostly because you can get clipped from behind a corner and not even know what killed you. Mona's portion of the construction yard is rife with this, as barreling towards your intended destination will end with you winding up as Swiss cheese. You are on a time limit, as Max can only last for as long as his AI doesn't decide to bumble, so of course you're going to speed off and get perforated. You kinda have to be psychic in these moments your first time around, which can lead to the staleness of going through the motions after dying one too many times. The burning building escape, as Max saw me, basically acted out as if I had lines and directions. Protecting Vinny is another victim of premeditation. If you don't immediately know where the hit squad is coming from, Vinny's life expectancy dips to 0 in 0.75 femtoseconds. Quick saves are your friend for the entire level, and it doesn't help that Vinny is a pace killer. At least he has a unique game over screen when he does die. Platforming is still an issue with this series, though it has been toned down, as there aren't any jumping mazes, just tightrope walking on ledges. Do mind though that max and falling damage don't mix, a tiny drop easily pushing him to 75% if it doesn't kill you on the spot. As the follow-up to Max Payne, The Fall is an excellent experience through and through. Any small issues get overshadowed by the fantastic character writing of Max and the stellar gameplay. I have a hard time determining which of the two classic games I prefer more, as each handles firefights differently, but they are both of the same high production that Remedy puts into their games. Check it out before Rockstar possibly pulls it off Steam shelves.
You can come out now. I know this is how you move between. So that's how you move up close. Oddly familiar, don't you think? That can't be your true form unless the choice wasn't yours. But then who constrained you into that shit? What? Not afraid of talking to me? Oh, but you seem downright jovial with... Well, I don't want to risk destabilization anymore. Speaking of, what's the deal with that? Or better yet, what's your two's problem? Only now have you decided to manifest, so what gives? Me? That isn't an answer. More an excuse than even hey! Come back here! Shit! Hypocritical wannabe. I'll mask you again. And for those watching, you're next too. Guess indirect is okay. Oh, the afterword. Well, since my hands are tied here, this showing of Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, is over, but stay tuned for our next feature involving a mascot's first leap into 3D, birth of a terrible meme, and a fishing